Good morning, stock traders, and welcome back to Stock Traders Talk Radio. I'm your host, Stock Sumo. Thanks for joining us on another wonderful Wednesday. Today is September 12th, 2012. Now, one of our favorite things to do here at STT Radio is bring you the very best in CEO interviews, and today we have another exclusive CEO interview lined up. And doing today's interview is Haas. Haas, take it away.
All right. Good morning once again, Stock Sumo. And thank you for our listeners tuning in once again this morning. We have another exclusive CEO interview. This one, we have actually had Mr. Ronnie Adams on the show not too long ago for the company Medical Alarm Concepts Holdings, ticker MDHI. Been a very hot stock as of late, and they are doing some very cool things with the company. So we figured we would bring him on once again to talk about some new developments for the company. So without further ado, Mr. Ronnie Adams, are you here with me?
Hi, Haas. Thanks for having me on again.
Well, thanks for joining us once again. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. I hope you guys are doing great, too.
Oh, definitely. Well, why don't we just start? Why don't you just give us a description of your main product that your company is selling right now, the Medipendent, just so we can give a brief background.
Well, the Medipendent is a medical alarm or a medical alert device that has the capability of being able to speak and listen directly into the pendant which you are wearing. Most other traditional medical alarms have a speaker box and a pendant, and you need to be near the speaker box in order to have verbal communication with medical technicians. With ours, you can be outside, you can be in another room, you could be in the bath or the shower because it is water resistant, but all you do is push the button and speak and listen directly into our medical alarm. It also has voice prompts so that you know that your signal is going through, and it's loud and it's clear, and it's one of a kind.
Okay, so basically it's a revolutionary technology in the medical alarm device market. Would you say it's the best product on the market today based on the features it has?
That is absolutely correct. This is a medical alarm, and it's designed for people to use when they're home alone. This is not something that to be used while you're in the mall and there's plenty of people around. When you're home and alone and you have a medical instance, a lot of elderly people or people that use medical alarms are scared to push the button because every time they push a button, they feel they're going to see an ambulance. With ours and the ability to speak and listen directly through the pendant, when they push the button, they speak to the medical technician and they can say, "No, I don't need an ambulance. Please call my daughter or please call my neighbor. The bathroom door is shut. I just can't get it open." Or, "I fell. I hurt my ankle. I'll be okay, but I don't need an ambulance." By pushing a button and always seeing an ambulance keeps people from using their medical alarms. Ours is getting around that fear so that people don't have to see an ambulance when they push the button. They can also use our medical alarm in the event of break-ins or fire or any time they need to alert emergency personnel.
Okay, great stuff. And I'm assuming that the market for this particular product has been growing dramatically over the last couple of years and is expected to grow dramatically into the future here with our elderly population increasing on an almost exponential scale at this point.
Well, yes, the elderly population is growing tremendously, rapidly. People are, first of all, the baby boomers are getting to that age, and so there's a tremendous amount of increase in the percentage of people that are over 65. And to add to that, they are living longer. And so the alternative is assisted living, which is extremely expensive. And to add to that, people want to stay in their own homes. They feel more comfortable. That's where they've been the whole time. They don't want to move anywhere. Our medical alarm gives them the ability to stay and live independently and comfortably where they want to live, and to do the things that they want to do while they're living an independent life.
Okay. Well, we've definitely covered a lot of background for this particular product and Medical Alarm Concepts Holdings on our last interview, and also some of the other interviews that you've been doing. So I kind of just want to jump into the grits of it a little bit. You guys have obviously talked a lot about your major retail partner in the press as of late. I know you can't really mention their name for non-disclosure agreements that you've made with the company to bring in this huge deal and alliance that you've brought in. But I think, most of the people speculating on Costco and the fact that we have all seen the Costco advertisements across the internet, we'll just suffice it to say that it's Costco. But we'll just refer to it as the major retail partner while we're talking about it here. I don't want to put you in a position where you're getting in trouble or anything like that. So we'll just call them the major retail partner. But basically what I want to do first here is talk a little bit about your pricing scheme for the Medipendent product. I know you guys you're actually selling the device itself, but you're also bringing in some monthly recurring revenues. So why don't you just take it away and just kind of work with me and break the pricing scheme down?
Well, thank you for that consideration. Yes, there are two main parts to our sale. One is selling the hardware, okay? And I think everybody's real happy with the progress of the sale of the hardware, and sales actually have been slowly but surely increasing, which is really, exciting to us. The second part of the revenue stream for Medical Alarm Concepts comes in the part where after the first 6 months, we get to acquire that customer as one of our recurring monthly revenue customers. In other words, they'll sign up for extended service for their monitoring. 3 different plans: quarterly, semi-annual, and annual. And when we initially activate the customer, there's probably a 70% sign-up rate for the extended monitoring right from the start. And then, of course, there are people that are calling in as time goes on before the 6 months is up. Now, our program has not been going for 6 months, so I can only tell you that right now it looks like about 70% of the people have been signing up for the activation, first of all, and for the extended service. So it's very exciting to us. So just keep in mind there's an equipment sale where Medical Alarm Concepts makes revenue and profit on, and then afterwards we get to realize the recurring monthly revenue from the actual customer directly. And Medical Alarm Concepts now deals directly with the customer on these recurring monthly revenues.
Okay. Can you talk about the actual specific prices that you're actually selling the hardware for, and also the recurring monthly revenues? Can you give us specific numbers? I know you're selling different types of buyers. You have your distributors where you're selling in bulk. Obviously, some sort of discount related to that.
I can tell you that Costco, the big retailer anyway, is retailing the product for $140, and it includes 6 months of monitoring. At that rate, it's under $23.50 per month, and so it's a great deal for the customer. That's just a tremendous deal from a monitoring standpoint. And of course, the extended monitoring services range anywhere from $24.95 per month down to $19.95 per month. So it's an extremely aggressive program by MDHI, Medical Alarm Concepts, and it's supported 100% by our retail partner.
Okay. Be careful there. I think you actually mentioned their name in the beginning of that answer, but finishing it up with the retail partner is okay. I don't want to get you in trouble. Anyways, so Costco is selling it for about $140. I think we saw that in their main advertisement as well, and that includes the first 6 months of monitoring as well. So fantastic deal. What portion of that, if you can talk about that, actually comes to your company in terms of revenues?
Approximately 30% of that number comes back to us. 35% of that number comes back to the company. Okay, so it's actually a real good deal for our retail partner. It's a real good deal for us. And even if the customer didn't take additional monitoring after the first 6 months, we would have made money on the sale. The fact that most of them are taking monitoring is an indication, number one, that the product is working really, really good. There's a real high level of customer satisfaction and acceptance of the product, and it enhances the value of the product and of the company because our retail partner is real strong.
Okay. Let's see here. Just crunching some numbers in my head. Anyways, okay, let's move on to the different types of sales that you guys are looking to make overseas as well. Can you
we didn't. We have to. What about the internet? I want to talk about that first.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm willing to talk about whatever you want to talk about. So yeah, you can talk about the internet.
Yeah, because I want to also mention that we do have a new campaign that we just started with Google AdWords, and it's been going on for a little more than a week. While our monitoring rates are about 50% higher than they are retail, the programs have been going real good and also giving the company a lot of exposure and a lot of new business. So that's been working out real good for us too. So I just wanted to throw that in there first. I also wanted to mention about the recurring monthly revenue that we are having. We feel by the end of the year, it should be approximately, on an average, $40,000 a month, which is money that comes in every month, no matter what. Even if I overslept in the morning, every month that money comes in. We anticipate that recurring revenue to increase to net of attrition somewhere between $75,000 and $80,000 the following year. So that's every month that money comes in, and there's no sales associated with it. So there's no cost of acquisition, no cost of equipment for those sales. So recurring monthly revenue is a very, very strong vehicle for us, and it's going to add tremendously to the revenues and the profitability of the company.
Yeah, it's great. You build the solid foundation of the actual equipment sales, and then you got those recurring revenues coming in month after month, and they're only getting bigger. That'll provide a nice little bump to the bottom line.
Yes, absolutely. I just wanted to make sure I got that in there.
Okay. So, $75,000 to $80,000 every single month in recurring revenues at some point in 2013. You're talking about $1 million in revenues just from answering phones.
Just absolutely, just from recurring monthly revenue. And then don't forget, we've got a couple of nice distributors that are doing business with us, and we anticipate the distributor business to be approximately $200,000 to $250,000 a quarter. So say close to $1 million in a calendar year. We've already, we've experienced some of that already, and that's set to really kick off, real strong next year. So that really could bring the revenues up to $2 million. And when you add in the fact that we've already begun shipments, international shipments to Denmark and Ireland, and we've already had additional interest from Australia, Slovakia, and just yesterday, Croatia. And there'll be more international interest coming in. We're real excited that the revenues next year will be, somewhere between $2 and $3 million, and that the company is going to be nicely profitable. So again, we're very, very excited about the progress we've made and where we're going with the company.
Okay, and I'm sure there's when you're actually selling the devices to your major distributors, I mean, compared to like a Costco or something, where you're getting 30%, what sort of margins are you looking at when you do that?
Well, we get the margins we're getting to the large distributors are anywhere from 25% up to the international could be 100%. So it all depends on the quantity that's being ordered and the customization that we have to do to the product. But the margins are nice. We just don't experience the recurring monthly revenue, and we support our distributors 100%.
Okay. All right. So you have the major revenues. We're talking, recurring monthly revenues anywhere between $500,000 and $1 million before the end of the year here. You have your major distributor orders that'll total about $1 million annually by early 2013. And you guys are also expanding overseas into lots of different countries. You mentioned a few of them. I'm sure there are more on the watch list or that you're in discussions with. And once it travels overseas into a couple different countries, everyone's going to want one, especially if the product is of the quality that everyone seems to think it is. So you guys could really start taking off here in 2013.
Yeah, well, we feel real comfortable with the product and its performance. I think everybody does, and we're actually excited about the whole thing. Before I wrap up, though, I just want to just mention a few things that we've done recently, and I just think it's worth revisiting some of our, some of the things that we've accomplished. Number one is we've canceled approximately 165 million toxic forms of stock, warrants, shares of stock of the of MDHI. A good portion of the debt has now been canceled. We have acquired a $750,000 credit line that's allowed us to pay off virtually all of our trade payables, and we expect to emerge as a fully reporting company with a very, very clean balance sheet in the very near future.
Okay.
And while it's not going to put any strength on the past performance of the company, the forward progress of the company will be transparent to the investing public, and they'll see exactly, where we've been and where we're going with the company. And I think everybody will be excited and share the enthusiasm, that I have.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a big stock trader myself, stock investor, and one of the key things that I look for in over-the-counter companies, if they have a sexy product, which you guys definitely have in a high-demand market, that's awesome. But a good product does not make a good stock. So it's really good to see you guys doing some of these shareholder-friendly things. You mentioned the cancellation of all the toxic convertible debt, basically putting your debt under one roof that believes in the long-term growth of the company. $750,000 credit line, huge, allows you guys to expand in a more efficient fashion and gives you the extra money you need to do so. You guys are obviously expanding pretty rapidly. And then financials. The last quarterly report that you all put out was, I believe, the March 2011 quarter, if I remember correctly. And
Correct.
Even then you guys were bringing in some decent revenues, and kind of after that point, not releasing financials. People are seeing all this growth in the press, but they want to see it on paper too. So it's great that you guys are planning on getting your financials out there. And I understand that you've already started that process. Can you comment on that at all?
It's actually starting next week.
Oh,
so it's been engaged. Accountants have been engaged and are starting to come into the office starting next week.
Okay.
So,
wow. And obviously you have the huge fall major retailer promotion coming up here. I also know that you can't comment on when that is supposed to start. But based on past years, I'm a huge Costco fan. I got one, 2 blocks down the road from my house here. Costco usually starts their fall promotions, and starting in early September through about the end of October, if I remember correctly. So we should be seeing some stuff coming out in the very near future related to the Medi pendant in the advertisements for the huge fall Costco promotions. But that's just speculation on my part, of course, because I don't want you to have to talk about that.
Right.
Go for it.
Well, listen, we'll be involved in a bunch of promotions going forward. Okay, we do have one major one, one real major one coming up here real soon, and we are excited about it. But it won't be the last. There'll be more, and it's a nice way of creating awareness for the company and for the product, and it's a great source of revenue for us. So, again, we're really excited about this, about all of the programs that we have going on.
Well, yeah, and I mean, we're talking a stock that has about a $3 million valuation right now, and we're talking a company that's going to be bringing in $3+ million in revenues really, really quickly, probably by the end of 2013. So I think it's pretty safe to say that in the over-the-counter market, your stock is significantly undervalued. Would you agree with that?
I think that once people can see the performance of the company, I think you're going to see a completely different valuation of the company, and it's going to be at a different level. That much I can tell you. We just have to create the transparency for the investor. We know that that's what they're looking for. That's what we want. We just felt that over the past year, it was more important to take the limited resources of the company and put it into the operations and creating a real company so that we could have something for them to have when it was all said and done. So now we're ready to have financials and transparency created for the investor. I think they're going to be the people that stayed with the investing and with the company are going to be real excited.
Yeah, it sounds like it. You always have to set that solid foundation, and I think you guys have that here. You have a great product. You're growing rapidly. You guys are getting rid of all the toxic stuff. And, now you're going to start the transparency process where you show these guys what you guys have been doing with your money over the last, year or so. And I think they will be very happy. So is there anything else you'd like to add before we roll off the air?
No, I thank you very much for having me on again. I hope that I've properly conveyed the message, what's really going on at the company. Please understand I'm limited to what I can say because a lot of this stuff is not public knowledge. But at the same time, I want everybody to feel comfortable that there's a real company here with real revenues, and going forward, the hard work of the company and the faith of the investors will all come out at the end. Okay.
Just one last thing that I want to ask you, and I don't even know if you know an answer to this. Do you have any sort of timeline for when we'll see some financials?
I'll tell you what, if you give me another 2 to 3 weeks, I'll give you an answer on that.
Okay.
How's that? Because I'd like to hear it directly from the horse's mouth.
All right, that sounds good. Well, thanks for joining us once again. Ronnie Adams, everyone. Medical Alarm Concepts Holdings, ticker MDHI. Definitely one to watch into the end of 2012 here. They have some great things going on. Thank you once again for joining us, Mr. Ronnie Adams.
And again, thanks for having me on.
All right. Well,
excellent
thank you for
job, boss.
Thank you, Mr. Stocks. Let's let our investors get to their day. Thank you once again for joining us here at STT Radio. Make sure you're tuned in tonight. Mike the Pike Productions interview, is that correct?
That's correct. The evening show is back and better than ever. Don't forget to tune in tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll be hearing from Mark Neubauer, CEO of Mike the Pike Productions.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We're out.
Thank you for listening to Stock Traders Talk Radio. All views and topics talked about on Stock Traders Talk Radio is solely for entertainment purposes. We are not professional financial advisors and always recommend you seek the advice of a professional financial advisor. Never invest in any stock featured on our show unless you can afford to lose your entire investment. The information contained on our show is based on sources which we believe to be reliable, but is not guaranteed by us as being accurate, and might not be a complete statement or summary of the available data. Stock Traders Talk Radio advises that the investments in companies profiled are commonly considered to be high risk, and use of the information provided is at the investor's sole risk. Thank you for listening to Stock Traders Talk Radio.